Hey guys, Jeremy here. I am out in the workshop and I'm going to be going over the system that I use for sharpening knives. This system I have kind of refined over a number of years. I've used a number of different types of sharpening methods or systems, from the Lansky sharpening rods to your traditional stones, water stones, oil stones, diamond stones. So I've used a lot of different sharpening methods, and this is just the method that over the years that I've come to rely on and use the most when I'm out here in the workshop. Here are just a few of the knives that you can sharpen and maintain using this method. Here's one that I'm actually in the process of making right now from an old hickory 14-inch butcher knife. I've cut it down, reprofiled it, and ground out new bevels for a bushcraft style knife. So that's in the process. You can sharpen saber grinds, Scandinavian grinds, convex grinds, flat grinds, hollow grinds, even hatchets and axes with this equipment. So I just wanted to show you the different types of grinds and knives that you could sharpen with this system. So without further ado, I will show you the equipment that I use. Here is the workhorse of the sharpening system that I use. It is the Kalamazoo 1SM 1" by 42" belt sander. The reason that I use this particular belt sander is the overall quality and the absolute reliability of this particular engine. It is a Baldor industrial motor. It has 0.33 horsepower or 1/3 horsepower at 115 volts, drawing 5.4 amps. Now here's the big thing: 1,725 RPMs. Now what that means is the belt is going to turn slow enough that you will not inadvertently overheat the edge. So some of the other ones that are on the market use about a 3,000 RPM motor, which is, you know, over double. I think they're like 3,400, but over double the speed of this particular one. And so it's just a lot easier to draw the temper out of the edge when you are sharpening them, which you definitely do not want to do. Another thing, this is made in the United States. You can actually rewire this for 212 voltage if you want. It's just a rock solid motor. I have profiled, ground the bevels, and sharpened over 50 knives on this, and then I have just sharpened or reprofiled the edge on probably another 100. So I would absolutely give this a thumbs up as far as reliability. Another nice feature of this is how easy it is to change the belts out on it, which I'll show you right here. So this is a 1" by 42" belt. They have these in just about every grit available, from a 24 grit up to some microfilm belts in the 1,000 grit range, and they've also got leather strops also, which, I mean, it makes it a very versatile system. So this, all you have to do is flip the cover up here, loosen that bolt. That is what gives you the tracking, tilting the head here, and then so you just put some downward pressure, pull off the belt. Easy as that. Take your new belt, a little bit of downward pressure, so it tensions it right there. It's got a nice strong spring in there. Then you just flip it on, and I adjust it right to the edge of the plating here. Turn it back off, tighten it up, you're ready to go. So it just takes a couple seconds to swap out the belts. Got a nice flat work surface here. Like I've said, the quality is just top notch on this, and couldn't recommend it anymore. Once you step up into some serious professional knife making, I know they prefer the 2" by 72" belts. I do this as for fun in my spare time, so I haven't seen the use for a professional grinding, sharpening setup yet, but I might in the future. But this is what I currently use. I have one other piece of equipment that I use with the sharpening system that I'll show you right now. Here is the second piece of my sharpening system, or the final step. It is a 6-inch bench grinder with 8-inch razor sharp brand paper wheels. I actually got these from Grizzly. They work exceptionally well for putting that final polished mirror edge on. I don't use the sharpening wheel all that much. If you didn't have a belt sander, that would definitely come in a lot handier. But I use just mainly this polishing wheel. And a couple things that I've done to this particular grinder: I flip the motor around so the wheels rotate this direction as opposed to that direction. And what that does is I can hold the blade level up at the top to keep a very consistent angle, as opposed to holding it like this. So just a preference there. You could leave it the other way and then be able to use other wheels and stuff on it too, but that's just a preference thing. The other thing about this particular one, this is a Porter cable, looks like PCB525BG model. This is a variable speed model. I know there are a couple of other brands that do the variable speed as well, so I don't know that the Porter cable is necessarily that important. It has worked great for me. I haven't had any problems out of it, but it goes down to 2,000 RPMs on the lowest setting, which is what I always leave it on. Again, that is to help prevent drawing the temper out of the knife edge, heating it up too much. So always leave it on the lowest setting. And I've drawn a couple of marks over here on this side. So when that is at the very top, that's 10 degrees, that's 15, that's 20, that's 25. So when you hold the knife over one of those marks, you're at that exact angle. And then by process of duplication, so you've got the exact same parts over here. So if you look down from the top and you're right at the edge of this bracket, you can tell over here holding it at the same spot. And that's what I do. I line it up on a screw head or on part of the arbor, and that's how I keep a consistent angle on the knife when I am putting the final edge on it. So that is the bench grinder that I use, and those are the two pieces which I use to get razor sharp edges on all of my knives. Alright, before we get started, just want to make a quick note about safety. Always wear hearing protection, eye protection, and breathing protection. There's no point in taking any chances with this, so be sure to be safe. Got a kitchen knife. This came out of a turkey carving set, Faberware. I start with 120 grit, then I move up to 220 grit, then 400 grit, 600 grit, and then over to the honing wheels. Before I start sharpening the knives, I always take a Sharpie and put a pretty thick line down on the edge and a little ways back from the edge on the primary bevel. And what that does is, as I am sharpening or removing material from the knife edge, I can tell, I can just flip it over, I'll take a pass, flip it over, take a look at it, and I can tell exactly where that last pass was on the edge or primary bevel, and that way it just gives me visual feedback to adjust the angle shallower or deeper, and that way I get a great, nice, consistent convex edge.
Okay, here we go.
Probably won't be able to tell, but I have raised a wire edge on the opposite side. You can see exactly where the metal was removed there from the Sharpie being removed. So I'm going to switch over to the opposite side and then move up in grits. Okay, there we go. You can tell exactly where the material has been removed, the metal's been removed by the Sharpie the Sharpie mark being removed. So I've gotten all the way up to the edge. I have pushed first a wire edge over to this side, then I flipped it around, pushed it back over to this other side. So we are now ready to move up to the 220 grit, and I have also convex this edge now just a little bit by the give of the belt and put a new edge on it. I've got the 220 grit belt on now. I have put the Sharpie marker back on the edge so I can again tell with this grit where I am touching the blade, and also so I can tell that the previous scratch marks have been removed and we're ready to move up to the next grit. Okay, I have now removed the scratch marks from the 120 grit belt, and I am ready to move up to the 400 grit belt. Alright, got the 400 grit belt on. I've reapplied the Sharpie marker to the edge so I can again tell where I'm removing the scratch marks from, and we're ready to go. Okay, I've got the 400 or the 220 grit scratch marks removed with the 400 grit belt, as you can see here, and it is time to move on to the polishing wheels. Okay, we're over at the paper wheels now and ready to put that final mirror polish on the edge. I've reapplied the marker there, and how I do this is the wheels rotate that direction and I hold it as flat as I can and just draw it across the wheels, and I try to keep it at a consistent angle of about 15 to 20 degrees. And how I do that is I look straight down and kind of like a gun sight, use this as my back sight and align it somewhere like at the edge of that retainer right there on the arbor, and then I draw it across and I'm able to achieve a consistent angle that way. Okay, so that has got it finished up. Pulled the edge back just a little bit and sharpened up the boning knife. So let's do a paper cut test just to confirm that it is good and sharp. Alright, so there you have it, the ultimate sharpening system.